Hi everybody, my name is Ron from AnsweringLDSCritics.com. This video is specifically for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. In my previous videos, I demonstrated the LDS critics' business model and specifically how they are making money by destroying faith. In those videos, I point out that part of their business model includes producing thousands of videos that contain misinformation and half-truths. They're designed to cause doubt so that they can make money from it. While I completely disagree with their behavior, I try hard to separate their behavior from them as individuals. They are children of God. You will see in this video that I am very direct about the things that they are doing and saying to destroy faith. It's just wrong. There's no other way to put it. They're literally going about trying to destroy the church. But I also want to point out that Allen the Younger, with the sons of Mosiah in the Book of Mormon, as well as Saul, later Paul, in the Bible, also went about trying to destroy the church. But God had a plan for them, and I believe God has a plan for the critics of our day too. I don't know what that plan is, but God does, and so I trust Him. So, with that disclaimer, let's jump in. First of all, on my website, I point out that Mormon Discussions sells ex-Mormon products that are highly offensive. A panel of 3 different critics, one of whom was from Mormon Discussions, mocked my statement and stated that they are only selling just mugs and t-shirts. Let's listen in.
And when I read that one line about, what does it say, extremely offensive products, I was talking to RFM today and I'm like, what do you guys have on there? What's in your store that's so offensive? And he goes, I don't know, coffee mugs? I mean, and I looked through it, they're mostly just the logos. I know, I was like, what are you
if it doesn't have the Angel Moroni, it's offensive, you know.
It's offensive, yeah. So I didn't see anything that, you know, of course, maybe my sensibilities are tainted a little bit. But yeah, he didn't know either. He's like, coffee mugs, maybe? I don't know.
I haven't seen anything yet, so...
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's take a quick peek at the Mormon Discussions website. If you go up here to gifts, you'll see that brings you to this Exmo store, and if you click on atheist, sorry I have to look at these, but look how offensive these are. I'm not even going to repeat them because it's just horrible. I have no words. I mean, if you don't find this offensive, I don't, every Christian in the world would find that offensive. Same thing when you go to mugs. Mugs that denigrate the temple ceremony, stuff that just shouldn't be. Now, I don't know in what universe it's okay to mock your fellow Christians. This isn't just about Mormons. This is just mocking Christians and human beings by selling those shirts to be worn in the public that denigrate God and Jesus Christ here. So the question you need to ask is, were these LDS critics telling the truth? Are these products just harmless mugs and t-shirts that are not offensive at all? Or if you agree they are offensive, then it's important to understand that these are the same people giving you information about the history of the church, or about the leaders of the church, or about the doctrine of the church, or about the culture of the church. In their video, these LDS critics were responding to the fact that I said they aggressively solicit donations with donation boxes on both their videos and their website. But as part of their response, they very proudly proclaimed me a hypocrite because I had a donation box on my website soliciting donations. Now, if I have ever placed a donation box on my website, they would be absolutely right. I would totally be a hypocrite. The only problem is I've never had a donation box on my site, ever. Not even by accident, because I've never outsourced the development of my website. I wrote every sentence on that site and have personally published each iteration of the site. So I know the content very well, and soliciting donations on my site has never even been on the radar. Let's take a look at what they've said.
Absolutely correct. And I might point out that the Answering LDS Critics website does have a donate button that you can donate to.
No, come on.
Yes, they do.
How did they figure that out?
Oh my God.
They're smarter than us. their arguments do carry more weight because they figured out
They're
the donate
smarter.
button that
They
we have.
figured out the
Oh,
donate button.
Okay, what that's oh man, that just kills everything they're trying to do here.
Yep.
This is all ad hominem anyway. They can't refute our evidences, so they attack the.
So they attack that you're asking for a donation while they themselves are asking for a donation.
Yeah.
So when I say that LDS critics misrepresent things, this is a perfect example. They literally mocked me for having a donation box on my site that never existed. They were just trying to take the heat off themselves, but they had to lie to get there. So if they are willing to misrepresent something that is so blatantly easy to prove false, how much more are they willing to misrepresent events in church history or misrepresent church doctrine? Okay, next example. This one isn't as obvious, so you have to look a little closer, but it is a great example of the sleight of hand or misdirection they use to take the focus off of things that they are doing. These clips of our critics are responding to the fact that I said that they had flooded the internet with negative videos, or causing or perpetuating a faith crisis in members. Let's listen to their response.
And what they don't show is that many people don't ever even get into the podcast or into this. They leave the church without participating in this cycle at all. And
exactly. I know so many people that have, in fact, we just talked to someone yesterday. They found their way out through church approved sources.
It's not us who are causing faith to be lost. It's not us critics.
You read something in a church manual, in the scriptures itself, that started you thinking. And again, most of these post-Mormon thought leaders, they're just putting out information, most of it taken from sources from the church's own writings and websites.
Wow. Okay, so it's important to examine this carefully. The critics don't actually respond to why they produce so many videos. Instead, they turn the table on the church and suggest that members are leaving the church because they read a church manual or read the scriptures or some other church publication and heard some doctrine that they couldn't resolve. Now, I guess it's possible that that can happen, but let's do a reality check. As of the end of July 2023, between Mormon Stories and Mormon Discussions, they have published over 3,000 videos with more than 71 million views just on YouTube alone. That doesn't even account for Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook, or any other social media site. So thinking logically, from which source are more members likely to hear negative information about the church? From reading a church manual or the scriptures, or from thousands of videos and well over 71 million views coming from LDS critics? It simply doesn't add up. The fact is, they know full well that their videos cause or perpetuate a faith crisis in members, because why else would they spend so much time and money creating over 3,000 videos that are all trying to convince members how bad the church is? If members were leaving on their own, what would be the purpose of the videos? Well, the reason is because the more doubt they can cause in members of the church, the more money they make. It's simple math. A certain percentage of members in a faith crisis, which, by the way, is a gut-wrenching experience, will donate money to them and will watch more of their videos, will attend their conferences, will need coaching services, and will buy their products, all of which result in more money for them. So their very subtle way of deflecting the fact that they are flooding social media with negative videos and causing doubt in members may seem harmless, but in fact it is doing major damage. And that is really important concept for members of the church to understand so they can inoculate themselves from this. Now here's another example of a deception. I pointed out on my website that in 2020, the IRS reported that 55.1% of all Mormon Stories revenue went into the pocket of their CEO. Now, that's a significant number. Over half of the donations people made to that entity went into the CEO's pocket. And I'm sure those people who donated that year had no idea that was the case. Now, the critics' response is interesting. Because I showed the actual IRS 990 form, they knew that they couldn't refute it. It's right there in black and white. So what did they do? Well, they defaulted to just mocking me for even bringing it up. Here's the clip.
The thing that they really want to point out to you here is the executive compensation. They make a huge deal out of the fact that the executive compensation totaled 55% of the overall revenues for the company. And this somehow is, the devil's tool for leading all people into apostasy.
So once again, they couldn't dispute the actual numbers because they are straight from the IRS, so they defaulted to mocking the idea and quickly moving on. Remember, this is a nonprofit organization that is supposed to be helping other people. Do you see the cunning craftiness going on here? And while we're on the topic of money, let me play you a clip of these same critics responding to how I estimated Mormon Stories 2022 and 2023 revenue using their own historical growth rates.
Using years that clearly saw the greatest growth in this because, and we'll talk about it in a minute, why those might be. They attributed.
I feel like it's similar to membership numbers.
Yes, absolutely. That they keep growing and then they change how they account for them to show that they're growing. I
feel like that's just how they do their accounting, and that's what they're doing here. So.
And that's why I say here, even if we, they say, even if we use the reported 10.1%, the last one, it would be worth $700,000 in 2023. So they're really growing this, trying to show that it's huge numbers, but these may not be actual numbers. It may have declined 5.6%. And really the number might be 400,000. We don't know. We don't have the return. So why are we trying to guess? Let's just stick with the numbers that we do have.
Notice how they're just trying to manipulate your thinking by criticizing the method I used to estimate income rather than talking about the issue. I used historical growth rates, which is common and is an industry standard financial practice. Now here's the kicker. Since they produced this video, the IRS has released Mormon Stories 2021 earnings, the first year I had estimated, and lo and behold, they're far above even what I predicted. Actual 2021 earnings for Mormon Stories was $751,868, which is about where I thought they would be in 2023. So they're making even more money than I predicted, and is a far cry from the $400,000 the critics mentioned in this video. Again, they're experts at manipulating what people think, and their default mocking tone makes it sound like you are a total idiot if you think otherwise. So please don't allow yourselves to fall into this trap. Now, for those members who have already felt the sting of doubt, a clip from Lawrence E. Corbridge helps us understand the best way for us to get through a faith crisis.
But you cannot prove the church is true by disproving every claim made against it. That will never work. It is a flawed strategy. Ultimately, there has to be affirmative proof. And with the things of God, affirmative proof finally and surely comes by revelation through the Spirit and power of the Holy Ghost.